What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today's book review is Don't Make Me Think by Krug. So this second edition of the book was actually published back in 2006, so it is a bit old. And especially in the technology and user design, user experience field, that might seem like quite out of date and none of it would be relevant. And those concepts actually do still apply to today's world, and it does apply to both web. Most of the examples in the book are actually for the web, not mobile apps, because actually mobile apps weren't really around back then. But the same concepts, a lot of the same concepts can actually relate to mobile apps. So the main takeaway I got from this book is you want to make software where a user already knows how to use it. Now, this is something Apple is really good at, I think, and really any good UX, UI design is good at. UX, I guess, user experience design is good at, because it's going to feel like you already know how to use it the first time you use it. So some examples of this in a mobile app are, on iOS, navigation is typically done with a tab bar at the bottom, and really everyone who opens up an app is going to know how to use a tab bar navigation instinctively, because we're basically conditioned to already know how to use apps like that. With the web, it's an example would be having the navigation up at the top and then having a search field up at the top as well, and kind of those main principles that every user is going to know how to use already. The benefit of this is that a user isn't going to have to actually figure out how to use your app as much as they'll just be able to use your app and get the most out of it. And that's going to help a lot with users staying on your app and actually enjoying your app, because if they don't really know how to use it, they're going to get frustrated. Now, prior to reading this book, and kind of initially what I thought is, you want a creative approach to this, and you want to be creative, obviously, and you want to do something different and make stuff that's different. So yes, that's true, but you want to make sure you're not making things too different that people no longer know how to use them, because that's just going to make them frustrated and not actually serve the purpose that you're trying to serve. So for instance, if your navigation was scattered throughout the app and it wasn't on a tab bar or a side drawer that users already know how to use those kind of navigations, they might get very confused. Like if for instance, you just had an icon randomly on a certain page of your app, and that meant to get to the About screen, that would be something that the user would have to think about, and it goes against what basically this book is saying, is try and limit those decisions as much as possible. Another thing it talks about is how we actually use a website, and you might think that a website, if you're developing it, you just kind of, go through and use it the same way that the developer uses it. Like you know what you built, so it's easy for you to say, okay, I know that this widget's going to be over here, so I know exactly how to use that. But people aren't necessarily going to know how to use that. And the way people do use a website is they scan it. They'll scan it first, and this is something that you'll do as well. You'll essentially scan it first. You'll look for the headers, the headlines, and kind of see if you could figure out what you want immediately, and then just go to that part of the page. This is something you could test by going to random new websites. You're probably just going to start scrolling, and the first thing that kind of catches your attention that you're interested in, or the purpose that you're on that site, you'll go to and dig into that a little bit more. Another thing it talked about is being concise. So you don't want your text to be a text wall block on your website, because people don't want to read that. They're not on your website to read a book. They're there to get information, and they're there. I mean, it depends on the type of website. So if you do have a blog, they might be there to read more long form articles, but you're still probably going to want to break that up with pictures or maps or videos, depending on what kind of blog post it is. One exercise it gives you in this book is basically write out. So for instance, if you're writing the About page, write out your About paragraph and then delete half the words. Edit it and read through and just delete half the words, and make it more concise, and get that message across that you're trying to convey in as few words as possible, because that's going to make your site, again, more enjoyable. I mean, go look at any popular site that you like and see how often there's actually text, and see how often the text is longer than maybe a few sentences. It's probably not that much. If you've already read this book, comment down below what you thought about it. If you haven't already, consider subscribing to the channel. All right, ciao for now.